sorry if you already been asked it, but JD is kind of talking about how he's at the slot position. What do you like about what he can do in that slot spot?
Well, he's quick, he's sure-handed, and he's tough, and he's smart, and that position needs that because we do a lot of reading on the run at that position. When coverages change, your option of your route may change. You may have multiple options in a certain route based on the coverage, and so you got to be a thinker on the go at that position. So he's that, and then he also has a physical ability to make the play.
He said that he was more on the outside on scout team stuff, and now he's been moved back to slot. Was that a conscious decision, or just kind of that's how it ended up happening? Or
Oh, it was conscious. We just wanted to see him in there. Thought that he would be able to thrive in there, and that's not to say that he won't get back outside. But right now, we're just trying to focus on one thing at a time.
Hey, Keith, does Keon have an advantage on a guy like JD who just moved a receiver? I mean, Keon's been playing it since he was 6. JD's been playing it for 2 years. Does that give Keon a little advantage?
Just in terms of maybe doing some of those routes that he's done already, and just in terms of his knowledge of wideout play,
right.
It gives him an advantage maybe in that way, but not necessarily, because you still got to go out and make the play. So not necessarily in terms of just physically it does it, but definitely mentally because just real experience.
Does he enjoy helping you out a little bit? He said sometimes he'll say something to another guy, walk away, and it's almost like he can translate a little bit.
Well, that's his job.
Maybe.
That's what that car and cell phone is for, is so he can help me out. But yeah, it is, and so because a lot of times you can't spend during the course of practice I can't spend 10, 15 minutes with Keyshawn on a certain play, and so you coach him up, you get to the next play, and while he's back there waiting on this next turn, Keon can say just like anybody can, but Keon for sure can give him a little more detailed explanation sometimes for that moment.
This is getting way out in front of it, but is he a guy that wants to coach? Or
that's a good question. I'm not sure to be asking. To be honest, I haven't asked him that.
Just wondered if he thought it was interesting.
It is interesting, but I'm not sure. We haven't actually talked about that. I've thought about it myself, just in terms of you wonder what your kid's thinking, but he and I have never had that conversation.
Hey, Stanley's a guy that's obviously had flashes the last 2 years, but what type of steps forward maybe has he taken this spring?
He's taken some huge steps. I think it's natural maturation. Him making a conscious decision to dedicate himself to being a certain type of player, taking that next step, and that's coming out in his play. He's much more focused, and not that he wasn't focused last year. It's just it's a year later. It's a year more growth. And he understands the situation now. He is the older player, the more experienced player. So some guys step up to that. Some guys shy away from it. He's stepping up to it.
What have you seen from JD so far through 7 practices?
Taz is a beast. Taz runs around. He's a Tasmanian devil. He just runs around. He hears the play and goes and does whatever he thinks that play is 1,000 miles an hour. And so far, it's been right.
I don't know, you're the coach, but what I've seen is his first step after a catch, or his first initial couple steps are really explosive.
He is an explosive player. You're right. Your eyes aren't deceiving you. He is explosive, quick, and he's an elusive ball carrier like we've all seen in the past. He is one of those guys.
Okay. With the experience you guys lose walking into this year, maybe some of the unknowns, are you starting to see separation about halfway through now?
Of who?
Separation maybe from 1s and 2s right now. Are you starting to see guys kind of pull away?
We don't. Well, at wideout we don't have 1s and 2s, so everybody just play hard and then go in when you're supposed to. I never call anybody 1s and 2s.
You don't?
No.
Hey, you were with Tanner at Tulane. Where has he come the furthest since you were last with him at Tulane?
Just personally, he's grown, not necessarily grown up, but he's gotten older. You can tell he's mature, but he was that way there. Even as a young player, he was one of those guys that you would call mature for his age, that type of deal. So he's basically the same person, and he's always been able to throw. So it's pretty much what I expected, to be honest. More than me being surprised.
What about his feeling makes him a good receiver? He said he didn't play receiver in high school, really.
He didn't. He played wing back and tailback. He can catch. It starts from there, like I always tell him, when you are a kid and you decide to focus in on a position, and if it's wide out, hopefully the first reason you chose that is that you can catch. And so he can catch. And after that, then it becomes being taught.
Hey, Keith, okay, so you say you don't do ones and twos. How do you do? What is your philosophy? What is your approach in that regard?
Well, we have personnels, so
Okay.
in the certain personnel groups, you're in that personnel group or not. And so, if you're in that personnel group, you go out there.
Okay.
And so that's basically how I feel.
You got Officer Stan. Can Spielman block?
No doubt about it. Taz is a beast blocking because he's not afraid. The one thing about him, he's not afraid, and he's kind of explosive in terms of his strength. He's got a good pop about him when he does have to get physical, and like I said, he's not afraid, and so he attacks. He likes the physicality of it. He attacks those physical situations. He doesn't shy back and try to endure it. He tries to dictate the outcome of physical confrontation, and so that helps him.
With that attacking mentality, it seems like maybe at times last year, DeMornay said he was still kind of getting used to getting back into that attacking mentality. How have you seen him progress on that front?
Well, last year, DP just didn't trust that he was back yet, just movement-wise. And his whole thing from last year to this year is that he's comfortable with his movement. The movement has come all the way back. He was cleared last year to play, but he wasn't at optimum movement. He was healthy, but just like we've all heard and maybe experienced, that when you come back from an injury, especially a serious one, the trust level has to get there also. And he was physically able to do it, but he just didn't trust it. Now he definitely does, and this is the best I've ever seen him, and it's not even close. It's not even close. This is better than he looked before he got hurt.